Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Raid, and I've been getting a lot of requests to do a video on the Badgers defense. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to take a look at the Badgers run defense versus Alabama from previous weekend. So first going to start out and say I am not obviously in the defensive meeting rooms. I don't know exactly how the coaching staff is teaching these run fits. So my comments and my commentary on this defense is going to be based off the run fits that I coach, and a vast majority of defenses all the way from high school and up teach run fits, but it could be different than what the Badgers are supposed to do. So my comments and opinion on this are my own based on my experience with defense. That being said, let's get into it. And there are enough clips here that I think we're going to break this down into two videos. So we're just going to do the first half today. So, all right, here we go. 1st and 10, the 45-yard line. Okay, Badgers are out in the 2-4. Okay, pretty good rep here by the two interior linemen. So they are on a slant right off the start. Like they are going to a gap right off the start. So we got A gap, B gap. Daryl Peterson here, when this outside zone hits, he needs to squeeze, but he needs to squeeze harder. Because Jaheim Thomas is right here. I guarantee he's on, at the beginning of this game, is on some kind of spy on Milrow. So he needs to go with his gap. His gap is the C gap, the outside shoulder of the tackle, and when he gets running, he needs to squeeze. He needs to cross the line of scrimmage, not by much. Okay, the line of scrimmage is right there on the 45-yard line, so he needs to get across and stay square, but he needs to squeeze down. Because of how the run fit is happening out here in front, now Taka Curtis is going to be hitting here or here, most likely here, and that's exactly where he goes. So now there's a massive cutback lane because we don't squeeze down enough. Whether he's not aware that he has help behind or he's just slow to read. Good fit by Tackett Curtis. Okay, so again, we have a line movement here. We have a slant, and we're getting a blitz from Jaheim Thomas. So he's looking to get here. Okay, Tackett Curtis is reading this guard. When he opens up, that's going to give him the ability to run over the top. We're fitting in here. Okay, Lowry is your first level of force. He is the spill player. Okay, and then Max Lofi is really more of across the field. Okay, and with this kind of blitz on, again, it's kind of about the worst across the field and turning this into a minimal gain. Okay. Aaron Witt, again, he's playing wide because he has to at least deflect the release of the tight end on the flat. But this is an extra job staying flat, and then once we read empty hands by the QB, squeezing downfield quickly. Jaheim Thomas, really good reaction here. I think he's probably on a blitz, but seeing the cutback. And now he finds that Brandon Lane. Great job holding up here. All right, this is a solid run fit all around. Real solid run fit. Here he is. Okay, Barton in the game this time. Okay. So Lowry squeezes, but he gets nosy in the backfield. Okay, he's getting nosy. He needs to stay square. So when Milrow keeps this, he can attack upfield. This is not a very good rep by him. Okay, through the muck in here and gets a little caught up on Jaheim Thomas. But he's there to fill the gap here on the cutback. And because Lowry is there, he doesn't too athletic to play bad defense. All right, 1st and 10. 34-yard line. Okay, This is a pretty good job of patience by Pius. Okay, so he's starting out of the box, squeezing. Now he's staying square. Okay, reads empty hands and then squeezes inside. Barton's too high. Hills gets too high. He's fighting off a cut, looks like. Barton needs to get lower. Attack of Curtis, I'd like to see him attack a little quicker downhill. Right here. Instead of hesitating there. But he's sitting there strong. Okay. So not bad here by Curtis. Also great job of, was it 904 Green? Yep. To replace Lofi as the force. So again, Lowry, his tackle blocks down. He wants to squeeze. Needs to be a little bit more aggressive when that tight end gets into him. But he does shed. Again, he needs to read the mesh, not the running back. Okay, and that kind of ends up getting us in a situation where we get two players kind of in the same gap. But Tackett Curtis recovers, get outside. Lofi should be the force. He tries to outrun the motioning, it's at the tight end receiver, and ends up getting flat foot and getting pushed back. But that's where Forkerine comes in and sets the foot here. So we have a little cross here. So we're slanting across. Jaheim Thomas is blitzing right inside there. What we need to get here is two things. One, we need to squeeze. And by the time we recognize, and Daryl Peterson playing off the ball. So when he reads down, he can come downhill and then just replace based on where. So Barton's going outside. So Barton is the C gap player just by this slant. So that means Daryl Peterson needs to be the B gap player because Tackett Curtis is the A gap player. So Daryl Peterson doesn't react fast enough. And I don't think he's comfortable playing in space, and we see later in the game that he doesn't end up out there. Safety is going to be getting involved in this as well, but unless that this slant was wrong and Barton got pushed too wide, I don't think it matters. I think so on this play we have where I think this play goes wrong is Daryl Peterson. Okay? His tackle squeezes down. He needs to squeeze with him. This gap in here is going to be filled by the way this is coming downhill by one of these two most likely. He needs to squeeze, which allows Tackett Curtis to be able to come down and either fill the A gap or flow over the top. That's the first problem. Second problem, because he flips outside, now you give that Lofi, now he has to insert inside. And now we have the slow player being the force, and we have the fast player acting as a lane player. That's a terrible angle for Lofi to get to the ball. All right, next series. 1st and 10, 13-yard line. Apologize if there's a lot of cuts in here because my throat picked the wrong time to give me a coffin. Anyways, here we go. See how Bama blocks this. All right, so let's draw it up here. So what we're going to get is we're going to get down blocks, down the backer. All right, that should be pull, kick, whatever. And then we're going to be leading up through here. So So for me, when I get this kind of movement from the offense, this is how I'm fitting it. So I'm squeezing, I'm flattening out. Okay, I get down blocks. I want to fill. My guard pulls, so I want to fly over the top and clean up anything that doesn't get set in here. If Jaheim Thomas is too slow, we fit here. If he fits, then we're looking to skate over the top. Okay? Backside, we're squeezing and we're containing. So what we get back here is where Austin Brown needs to be fitting from the backside. And because we get the eye candy, because we get the motion, he ends up sitting out here too long, and we end up not getting that gap. So that's where we should be. Let's see where we end up going. So again, and it shouldn't matter because Hunter's coming out with the motion anyways. Okay, so linebackers fitted okay. I mean, they fit where they should. They're forcing the cutback, and the cutback guy just needs to be there. He gets there, but he gets there too slow because he's sitting, waiting. And now, so what Bama's doing here is when you have a back or a QB like Milroe, you've got to expect QB run, right? So that's what we're getting. We're getting basically the idea that we're running QB sweep here. Okay, and then their tackle is going to block down, and then he's going to release upfield. And then we're going to hand off on the jet sweep, and then we're reading here. Okay, so Milroe is actually reading this. And then we're going to look to get out in the alley, get out in the alley, get out in the alley. So when we see this, this can be real hard for this guy right here, right on the edge of this setup. And if anything, he might even be the read. Depends on exactly where Milroe gets his eyes. We'll take a look at that once we get the film rolling again. So when we see this kind of movement, okay, I'm expecting, okay, Tackett Curtis to be wanting to fill here and then come back if he sees it. Okay, so if anything, that would be there. Okay, Aaron Wood's here. Okay, we're squeezing here. We'll be squeezing here. And then Jaheim Thomas is going to be, and then we would probably be here. And then Jaheim Thomas is working here to here. And then once the ball comes back the other way, now he's cut back fill. We're downhill here. We're force here, and then we're alley right here. And then we would be holding up the edge here, hopefully, if we recognize it, which I don't know if we recognize it wrong or whatever. He ends up going farther inside. So again, let's take a look at it as this how it sets up. All right, so we had a slant on. So Lowry's going no matter what. It's probably because, yeah, it looks like there's a blitz with Hunter. So he's going to slant in. Hunter's going to come outside. He's going to become the force. Okay. Tackett Curtis steps in and then realizes that it's going to be handed off, and he turns back. Okay. He gets out over the top. Jaheim Thomas is taking a pretty solid angle, or like this if you're with him. All right. Yeah, all right. So that'll do it. That is the end of the first half in terms of the run plays that Alabama had. And with the exception of a couple physical errors, I think we actually did relatively decently, all things considered. Gotta remember, our defense is not playing that bad this season as long as the offense doesn't put them in a disadvantageous position. It's if our offense ends a series on a successful kick, that means a punt, a field goal, or an extra point, our defense is pretty solid. But, yeah, that's not good enough right now. So, that's the first half. We'll come back next time with the second half run fits, run defense against Alabama. So, until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.